Good morning, I'm Frank Powers, and this is Lifestyle Tucson, the program where I speak to our neighbors, the people behind the scenes of our amazing organizations, small businesses, and nonprofits. Our friends are informing you how they serve our community, and they're here to give you updates on future projects. Let's make some new friends today. Yeah. Remember the fallen, honor those who serve, teach our children the value of freedom. On 12/14/2024, come help to remember and honor our veterans by laying remembrance wreaths on the graves of our country's fallen heroes. Please help us honor and remember as many fallen heroes as possible by sponsoring remembrance wreaths, because today we're talking to Wreaths Across America. We're going to talk about volunteering on Wreaths Day, 12/14, and inviting your family and friends to attend and support all of these amazing fallen veterans by talking with Wreaths Across America today. Because today, I'm fortunate enough to speak with Lori Anne Schaeffler, location coordinator for the Arizona Veterans Cemetery, as well as Marana Mortuary, and representative of Wreaths Across America. Lori, welcome to Lifestyle Tucson.
Thank you. Great to be here.
I'm so happy we finally got you in here. We've been trying to get you in here to talk, and it's really a good time to talk because it is just past Veterans Day, which we just had a great Veterans Day, talking with a lot of great organizations here on Lifestyle Tucson, helping out a lot of fine folks. And it's become a big mission of mine to do that, and I really care about talking to veterans and helping out our active military, our veterans, our Gold Star families, and that's who we're going to be helping out today, as well as some of the great volunteers that help your organization honor all of these fallen veterans, because I was on the website, which is wreathsacrossamerica.org, and I learned a lot just about what you're up to and also how many fallen veterans we actually have here in our local cemeteries that deserve a lot of remembrance. I was almost going to say a little remembrance. How about a lot of remembrance? How about a lot of honor? So let's talk about it by giving me a little 101 of what Wreaths Across America is all about. Just give me a little 101 about what Wreaths Across America is all about.
So Wreaths Across America started back in 2009. It started actually about 10 years before that when the owner, Morrow Worcester of Wreaths Across America, had a truckload extra of wreaths. And he remembered as a child, as a newspaper boy, going to Arlington. And so him and his organization, Worcester Wreath Company, decided to take them to Arlington. Well, someone took a picture and it went viral, and organizations started reaching out across America of, oh, we want to remember our veterans. How do we do this? So in 2009, he started Wreaths Across America. And from that, it has grown. From the first year I did it, which was in 2009, there was 1,000 locations. As of yesterday, there is 4,125 locations. And the first year we did it, we laid probably 35 wreaths here in Arizona at the Marana Mortuary because the Veterans Cemetery wasn't there yet.
Oh, really?
And this year, we have out at the Marana Cemetery, we have 4,961 veterans.
That is an interestingly big number, and I was very surprised when I went to the website to see some of the large numbers. And then when you just got here, you told me how many veterans are in some of our local cemeteries, and it is in the staggering amount of thousands, because some of these cemeteries have been around for a long time. You're telling me some of these are veterans from World War I, from the Korean War, World War II, all these wars that have unfortunately been fought over time. And it's a big deal to obviously make sure that these soldiers are remembered and honored because, yeah, that was a long, long time ago. Maybe they don't have relatives in the area or even any living relatives, but these are heroes, and that's important.
It's very important to say their names so we don't forget them, because when you stop saying their names, that's when they're forgotten.
Yeah. And it was some of those unknown soldiers that inspired this back in the day, correct?
Correct.
Imagine that. I mean, that's what you want to know, that you are remembered when you're gone to a degree, especially if you've given the ultimate sacrifice. When I was talking about some of my great veteran organizations, we had Rockin' for Heroes was on a little while ago. They put on a great free concert. And really understanding the difference between a veteran and a combat veteran, learning really more about Gold Star family and what that means. That's someone, if you do not know, who lost someone in the military. So you were talking about someone that you have some Gold Star moms involved, and to realize Gold Star dad, a Gold Star mom, that's even the term. That's someone that lost a kid. And that's difficult. That's difficult to wrap your head around. And that person wants to see and know that people care about their son and about their child and about the family member, husband, wife, anyone that they've lost.
Back in 2009, it was our first year doing Wreaths Across America out at the small little cemetery, Marana Mortuary. And this little lady came up to me and my friend Donna and said, "Thank you." With tears pouring in her eyes, she says, "I didn't think people still cared." And I mean, that's why we do it year after year, is for those families to know that we do still care.
Yeah, because you have to, right? It's important. It's something I talked about in those veterans episodes. Remember, at Rock Fairs, they were honoring a veteran that's 100 years old, and another one was 101. And then they show these photos of them as kids. I mean, they were kids, because it's also way back in the 40s and stuff, that they're just so, yeah, what are you, 16? Let's go. Let's get you going. It was shocking. And let's not forget this. They did not have a choice. We all complain about our first world problems, right? We all have our problems that we complain about in our daily lives. Well, remember, growing up all the way up until the 70s, they would just say, all right, time to go serve. And lots of other countries still make you do that sort of thing, where there's a draft. So that's really the thing about it, is that a lot of these people, a lot of our volunteers that join the services are what are keeping you average Joes and me, an average Joe, out of military service.
Do you know, in December of 1941, World War II, right after Pearl Harbor, it was the Christmas many families never had, because their families were serving because of Pearl Harbor. And so, I mean, we are honoring, they are passing, our World War II veterans are passing quickly, and now our Vietnam veterans are passing quickly.
Right. And that's the point, is that you got to remember these people, acknowledge them, and let them know it. Let them hear it. Let them feel it. That's important for our veterans that are able to be honored, because they're still here with us. And that's a really big deal. Again, listen to previous episodes of Lifestyle Tucson, where I help our veterans, because it's been really something that's been fulfilling me, just as I get to talk to great groups like yours. Honestly, it just is self-rewarding by helping out people, because they are heroes and they make a sacrifice. Let's talk about what we're actually doing on the 14th, because it's a big day, and we'll talk about how people can get involved with it, because if you can't donate your money, donate your time, and you can volunteer at it, but we'll talk about that later. Let's talk about Wreath Day and what it actually is, and let's talk about the big event on the 14th. Run me through the whole thing.
So on December 14th, it's the same ceremony. The same words are being spoken across the nation at the same exact time.
Really?
So on the East Coast, they start at noon. Here we start at 10. California, they start at 9. But it is a ceremony that Karen Worcester writes every year. She tweaks it every year. But it is the same words are being spoken at the same exact time across the nation at 4,971 locations. It's phenomenal. Last year, 4.1 million veterans were honored.
Wow.
And it is just, it's heartwarming.
It is. It is heartwarming to hear it, because again, we're talking about, people that have passed on, and that's not often something we can say warms the heart.
Correct.
So being able to kind of use something like this to really make us all feel better, make veterans feel seen, make widows and widowers feel like the people they lost are honored.
Correct.
That's really important. This is something to honor the dead, but it's also something that honors the living. So I really do think it's important. Let's keep talking about what we're doing that day.
So at the Veterans Cemetery, like I said, we have 4,961 graves, but 2,581 of those are in the columbariums. They're in the walls.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So we lay one wreath for each 5. And then there's 1,178 casket burials.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's 1,202 urn burials. So we lay a wreath on every single one of those graves. But we also help out Marana Mortuary. They have 93 veterans there. We also lay wreaths at the Osprey Memorial, where the Osprey crashed 21 years ago, and there's 19 Marines that we honor there. And then if we have extra wreaths, which we did last year, we help out East Lawn, South Lawn, Evergreen. And for the first time last year, we were able to honor the Tohono O'odham Native American veterans.
That's incredible.
And those families were just so appreciative.
I'm sure they were, because talk about feeling a bit forgotten. Make sure that, again, everyone is feeling seen and really just being appreciated. Way to have a surplus. When I was looking at some of this, I was like, is this such a tall order that they don't do it? For you to come in and be like, no, for the first time we reached 100% there, and then we even had extra, and we're able to honor them over there and help the Tohono O'odham Nation. That's beautiful, and it's incredible. If you're listening, are you feeling moved yet? Well, then you should get moving, because they need volunteers for this sort of thing.
Because our cutoff day is November 29th, because they have to be put in 18-wheelers and shipped from Maine to here. So our cutoff date is November 29th.
Okay. Okay.
the day after Thanksgiving. So
Fascinating.
hopefully, when you're out doing your shopping, save $17 and honor a veteran.
It's right there on the site. I'll say it again. You can go there. You could buy one wreath for $17, or you pick 5, and that goes for about $85, I believe. My math is good if I'm remembering things. And then you could pick a dozen, and that's $204. If this is something that feels like you are leaning toward it, don't hesitate. Get online right now and go to wreathsacrossamerica.org and go help out, because that's really important. Let me ask about people that might not have some of those dollars, and maybe they can donate their time. Can volunteers come help you out on the 14th? How would they get involved?
So you can go to the wreathsacrossamerica.org site, search up location. You can put Marana, you can put Tucson, you can put Sells, or whatever your location is that you want to go and help. Maybe you have a dad who's out at Eloy. They finally placed wreaths out in Eloy. You can go on there and you can say, I want to volunteer, or I want to sponsor a wreath, or I want to, and you can just go on the site, or you can send a message and it goes actually directly to my email, directly to my phone, and I will answer you within a day to let you know, yeah, we would love to have you. Or, if we have too many, we'll say, hey, Evergreen or East Lawn or, Marcia Moon, and them, they are Gold Star moms and they are very appreciative of the help.
That's right. Lori's got your hookup, right? That's the spirit.
And we have a lot of groups that help.
Yeah, and that's good, because you should be helping. It's something to do. It's not a big ask, right? They'll get you where you need to go. And if you can't talk to Lori, WreathBot will answer you right on the website. There's a WreathBot that can get you all the FAQs right there, get you to the help center, maybe even schedule a call with someone so that you can get all the answers and even talk to someone specific. Maybe even Lori herself is going to help you out. Let me ask you this, because I was actually really happy that this wasn't going to be a short interview just talking about this one event, because you do a lot of great stuff throughout the year. So let's talk about what you guys are going to be up to also in January, because there's a lot of stuff to learn about with the Mobile Education Unit, and we'll talk about Run for the Wall. It's the 35th one. We'll talk about all that. Tell me about the Mobile Education Unit.
So the teach portion of our site is, we need to teach the next generation what they're not teaching in schools. You can go to the teach portion. There is lesson plans for every grade on there. If you have, a homeschool kid, and there is lesson plans that they have hired teachers to do these lesson plans. But the Mobile Education Unit, they have videos that they will show you to tell you why Wreaths Across America started, and show you videos of families and what it means to them. And also, some history lessons in there. And we take the Mobile Education Unit to schools, to businesses. Contact me. They are here for the month of January in Arizona, anywhere within Arizona, and we're looking for places to put it.
That's the spirit. So this is someone telling you, literally, you can get an appointment ready to go. Go get involved, and you can get some education right to your school, your organization, perhaps. Get involved. Go ask these questions of Lori over at wreathsacrossamerica.org, because that's really important, teaching these kids why it matters. There's a part of me, again, I was a snot-nosed kid once, and that's the idea. It took me a lot of maturity to realize how much we're supposed to care about veterans, because I really had to grow out of some of my snottiness as a sarcastic kid, where you don't really realize the sacrifice that someone else is making. And you can have kind of a tough outlook on the world. That shouldn't really go towards soldiers. And I think that a lot of people really can sometimes do that towards soldiers.
And it's very important that we do reach out to our soldiers. We need to reach out to our living. Another thing that we're very passionate about is stopping soldier suicide. That 22 a day.
Is it that many? It's so heartbreaking. Suicide's a big thing that I try to fight against.
Every 93 seconds, a veteran is committing suicide.
That's horrifying.
And it is. It's horrifying, and it shouldn't happen.
No.
Why? My husband, unfortunately, became the Arizona VFW state commander early, because at our department convention, his buddy, who was due to become the state commander, committed suicide at our convention.
Was there a sign? What? And this is your...
Incorrect. And veterans have those signs. They're like, oh, watch out for these 5 signs. Well, most veterans walk around with 3 of those 5 signs constantly.
Really?
I mean, it's important for us to, reach out to a veteran, have a cup of coffee, listen to their stories. They need to get that out.
Yeah.
Talking to veterans, it means a lot to them.
Yep. As a guy,
someone cares.
Yeah. As a guy who's been hanging around more veterans and going to some of these things and just making sure to do that, because guess what? However uncomfortable you feel when you see someone in a wheelchair or when you see someone missing a leg, don't think about your uncomfort. Why don't you just ask someone, hi, how are you? Hey, thank you for your service. Just be polite. Don't even ask that question, what happened? Like, just treat them like a person and say hello, because I know it's that. I know it's that feeling of being slightly uncomfortable. And that's everybody's problem these days. They feel it's a crime when they're made to feel uncomfortable in our one-button society.
You know, our Vietnam veterans, for 10, 15 years, they wouldn't put on hats that said they were a Vietnam veteran because they were afraid to, because how they were treated when they came home.
Right.
And that should never happen.
No.
Our Desert Storm veterans were the first ones after Vietnam to come home and get parades and such. And those Vietnam veterans, did they hold a grudge? They sure did, because they didn't get the welcome home parade.
Yeah. And, younger guy like I am, I learned about that sort of thing on The Simpsons. Vietnam veterans were spat at, treated poorly. And that's so sad because, again, drafts were involved. Let's not forget that. And that is something that, in the world of everyone being obsessed with superheroes and capes, there are real heroes walking around. And as much as you might think it's politically divisive, it is our police and it is our military, because there are real criminals out there. So you do have to thank these brave folks whose customers are you and I. That's right. Every single person I know that complains about a police officer or something, who do they call when they need help?
Exactly.
And that's kind of the thing. I don't like the hypocrisy that comes from often young people, and even my young self, that can be a bit anti-American. And it isn't right, because these people are sacrificing literally their freedom. Their 9 to 5 is not working at a restaurant or just being a bartender, doing something that they even want to pursue. It's working for us to protect us. And that's really important. So I do really thank you for even all the work you've done by honoring these folks and keeping us safe, by making sure that these people feel it. Because I'll tell you, we all are, but I'm very anti-suicide. There's another way around.
There is. And they, a lot of them, they just want to share their story. My son, for 10 years, didn't share his story about what happened to him in the military until after he had a brain injury from a motorcycle accident. And then he opened up to his story. Now he is getting treatment. Good.
A lot of some of that toxic masculinity stuff where being emotional is tough. Because I'll tell you why, and you know why? It's because it's hard. It's hard to be emotional, and that's why people do stifle that stuff. I'm a very emotional fella, and sometimes it can be a weakness to some. I see it as my greatest strength. It's about being honest with who you are and not hiding how you feel. And you want these veterans to feel safe and able to talk so that it's not turning into the demon of suicidal thoughts or feeling out of place in the world, because they're all going through a very traumatic event, even if nothing involving a bullet or a bomb happens. It's very traumatic to leave your family, leave your country, go serve, do this, all this stuff. Also be in that very, alpha dominated thing. You kind of have to be, boot camp's a tough situation. And even that's hard. My brother-in-law was a Marine. So, I got a little bit of it and I saw what it did to him, both positively, but also very negatively. Just especially those Marines. But that's really something to talk about and acknowledge. So let's also acknowledge something else right now, something you were bringing me up to date on. What is the Run for the Wall? It's the 35th year of it. Tell me all about it.
So Run for the Wall, 1989, James Gregory, he was a gunnery sergeant in the Marine Corps. And it was in the 70s, the Mayaquez event. He was going off the ship to retrieve Marines off the beach. And he knows that when they left with one group and went back, he knows that there was 3 Marines there, Hall, Hargrove, Marshall. 3 that, say those names because they're still looking for answers. But he knew there was still a lot live Marines on the beach, and he left them behind. And he carried that with him. And that's when he decided in 1989, when he retired, I'm going to ride to the Vietnam Wall. I'm going to do it Memorial Day weekend. So he started in California with, 15, 20 of his friends. By the time they got to Washington, D.C., there was hundreds of riders riding with them. Last year, when we pulled into the Marana exit, there was almost 400 motorcycles pull in there. They fuel their bikes in less than 15 minutes, and then they sit there and talk to the community, and we have a ceremony, and then they go on further down the road. They have lunch in Wilcox, overnight in Las Cruces, but, I mean, it's the 35th year and it's a welcome home parade for the Vietnam veterans that never got one. They stop in small communities, and it is a parade through their towns, and, you know, it's something the Vietnam veterans never got.
Yeah.
So he was a Vietnam veteran, and he's like, we're going to give them this welcome home parade that they never had. My husband and I have done the run 8-9 times on the back of a motorcycle.
Wow.
If you think patriotism is dead in America, no way.
No.
You go across the United States, people are hanging from bridges and flags and small communities where the whole community is out there to feed us, and it is just wonderful.
Again, I don't think patriotism is. I think that we're splintered a bit sometimes.
Correct.
But truthfully, we're all connected, and we are all Americans. I believe that there's some famous quotes. There's nothing wrong with America that can't be fixed by what's right with America.
Correct.
And that's the spirit. And that's what this is. Should we be even worried about any of these political things that I might even be talking about? No, because we're talking about honoring fallen soldiers.
Correct. Wreaths Across America and Run for the Wall. We do not, I mean, politicians contact us and it's like, hey, I want to come to your event and da-da-da. And we're like, well, we don't do politics because we don't say we're left, we don't say we're right. We are just Americans who are out here to serve our veterans.
If I could curse, I'd give you the biggest one, but I'll just say, heck yeah. America, right. Heck yeah. All right, but that's awesome. Can we just high five real quick? Boom, there it is. But that's really great, and this is why I love talking to all these great organizations and fine folks. You can hear how I've been moved. I've even been changed. I hope that some of that energy that I try to talk about when I'm on Lifestyle Tucson translates to maybe some of our younger listeners or some of the folks that might be on the fence about something to do. I'm always trying to get people to volunteer, to get involved, to get off the couch and go somewhere.
May 15th, probably about 500 motorcycles will pull in there at about 8 a.m. and fuel their bikes. They'll be there for an hour to get rehydrated and get food. And, you know, we do the national anthem, the Pledge of Allegiance, give out some plaques to those that have helped us in the community because we have VFWs, American Legions, DAV, all of these groups come out and help us. Come out to the Marana exit. Come see what we are.
That's right. I hope that the Final Stand Law Enforcement Motorcycle Club shows up. There's a previous episode I had with them, and they gave me a challenge coin. I talked about it many times since then, and you also gave me a challenge coin today. That means a lot to me. It really does. I really appreciate it because it's something that I feel appreciate getting one of these things. That's the point of them. And if you yourself might want to earn a challenge coin because they're awesome, maybe go volunteer, get involved, because that's what it's all about. It's a kind of a medal that says, thanks for doing something with us and experiencing something together. We did this together. So thank you for making me feel a big part of this.
Oh, you're welcome.
So last thing is just where can people find all the information online for Wreaths Across America?
So wreathsacrossamerica.org. And if you want to volunteer, Marana, East Lawn, Evergreen, South Lawn, Holy Hope, all of those cemeteries do the ceremony. Contact us online. We will answer you.
There you go. WreathBot's waiting. Because today, we made friends with Lori Anne Schaeffler of Wreaths Across America. Remember the fallen, honor those who serve, and teach our children the value of freedom. Thank you for joining me today, Lori.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
This was Lifestyle Tucson.
Awesome.
Bing bong bing. Time for a recap. No, Lori, you're awesome. You can tell how much I get excited about helping people out and talking about these things, but really bringing all this big energy that I do to these topics because, again, we're talking about fallen veterans, for goodness sake. So it's really sometimes very tough to do this, but I really try to just be as friendly as possible and talk about why all the things that these people care about the most matter the most and why you should feel that they matter. That's what I'm really trying to do here, is get you to really care about this stuff. Speaking about some of the heavy topics, how about that suicide rate? Isn't that tragic? So I really am very anti-suicide, as I was saying, as we all are and should be, because some of the statistics are staggering. And if you are having these thoughts, then you should use the phone number 988, or you can text 988. They made it simple so that everyone knows that 988 is the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. So get in contact with them, go to their official website, use the chat, but reach out. You're not alone, just so you know. And I love you. You can tell that. I'm doing this every week. And if you're a veteran, I love you extra. All right? Big hugs from the radio. Because it's important to let veterans know that, because this is a staggering statistic. And it's also important that you know that even if you're not a veteran, because no one should be thinking of harming themselves. I hate it. So I'm your BFF, your best Frank forever. Use 988 if you need to, especially if you're a veteran. But let's just wrap it up by saying you can go find all the details over at wreathsacrossamerica.org. Go follow them over at that on Instagram. Just put an at in front of that. And remember, the cutoff date is actually November 29th, which I think she said it's the day after Thanksgiving. So that's Black Friday, a fine day to be spending money. So maybe go do that and buy some wreaths over at that.org. And then on December 14th, if you can't donate your money, donate your time. Show up, volunteer. You heard Lori. She's going to answer the call, or WreathBot's there to AI assimilate you into this 501c3. But on December 14th, nationwide, it is happening, and you can get involved. So why don't you go get all the details from Lori, go to wreathsacrossamerica.org and find out how you can get involved for the big ceremony that honors veterans, millions of them all at once nationwide. It's a big, big deal. So I want to thank our new friends at Wreaths Across America for joining me today. You've been listening to Lifestyle Tucson. If you're a nonprofit that would like to be on the show, email lifestyletucson@gmail.com. For more information about this program or to listen to something you may have missed, go to the Sunday Mornings page on klpx.com, kfma.com, mixfm.com, or espntucson.com. You can also subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and Audible, or wherever fine podcasts are patriotic. Follow on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Lifestyle Tucson, because I'm your BFF, your best Frank forever, Frank Powers. And toot toot Tucson, I love you the most.